Hello and welcome to episode 9 of the 4 Out 1 In podcast with your host, George Hamilton III. I am recording this on May 31st, 2022, 2 days after the Boston Celtics won the Eastern Conference and are headed to the finals to try and win banner number 18. And their opponent in the finals is going to be the Golden State Warriors, who beat the Dallas Mavericks in 5 games. I know it's been a week since I have recorded and probably posted posted episode 8. But since every game was a blowout, I was just like, let me just let the series finish because there's no point of talking about every game in each series if most of them were just blowouts. So, what I'm going to do for this episode is recap games 3 through 5 for Dallas and Golden State, and then recap games 3 through 7 for the Miami Heat versus Boston series. And then I'll talk about my predictions for the NBA Finals, who I think is going to win and why. And then Carlos, I'll give Carlos his predictions as well. He's still super busy with family stuff and all of that. So he'll be back on after game 2 of the NBA Finals. So when he comes back, we'll get into the NBA Finals talk, and it'll be probably 45 minutes to an hour long episode, how it was before we all kind of came back from school. But anyways, I'll start with the Golden State Warriors versus Dallas Mavericks series. And to recap, in game 3, the Golden State Warriors won 109-100 to take a 3-0 series lead. And the game was pretty close just by looking at the box scores for each team. The Warriors won both teams split the quarters. The Warriors won quarters 1 and 3 by 3 points and 9 points respectively, and Dallas won quarters 2 and 4 by 2 points and 1 point respectively. But from the looks of it, if we go to the box score, I remember from this game, I think Luka had a 40. He had 40 points. And if we look at it from the Warriors standpoint, Andrew Wiggins had 27 points and 11 rebounds on 11 of 20 shooting and 1 of 5 from 3. And Steph Curry had 31 points and 11 assists and 5 rebounds, shooting 10 of 20 from the field and 5 of 10 from 3. Jordan Poole had a quiet night as he shot 2 of 4 and had 10 points. But I mean, with Wiggins, scoring 27 points and playing somewhat of lockdown defense, making it hard on Luka, Jordan Poole's quiet night kind of went unnoticed. So, I mean, it wasn't much to make a big deal of. And as for the Mavericks, as I said, Luka Doncic, he had 40 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists, shooting 11 of 23 from the field and 4 of 9 from 3. Spencer Dinwiddie also had 26 points, shooting 7 of 13 from the field and 4 of 10 from 3. And Jalen Brunson had 20 points, shooting 7 of 12 from the field and 3 of 6 from 3, and providing 5 rebounds as well. The big factors in this game were Reggie Bullock shooting 0 of 10 from the field and 0 of 7 from 3 and had 0 points after he had 21 points in game 2. And Maxi Kleber shot 0 of 5 from the field, which all 5 of his shot attempts were threes, and he had 0 points as well. So they pretty much lost this game because, yes, they got the production from Spencer Dinwiddie, Luka Doncic, and Jalen Brunson, but when Reggie Bullock and Maxi Kleber went 0-4s and had 0 points, like it was probably you'd probably assume they lost, maybe by a big margin, but in this case it wasn't that big of a margin because Luka, Jalen Brunson, and Spencer Dinwiddie basically combined for 2/3 of their points. So I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal, but you couldn't have not noticed it. And as for the shooting splits, the Mavericks shot 29% from 3 and shot 40% from the field. while the Warriors shot 47% from the field and 34% from three. And they out rebounded the Mavericks 47 to 33. As we move on to game four, I actually didn't watch this game because I was with some friends as they had just came back from the East Coast from school. So we hung out that day. So I kind of missed the entire game. But when we stopped to get something to eat, we checked the score and it was like 85 to like 56 or something like that. So we knew the game was over. Um, in that aspect, the Dallas Mavericks dominated this game from start to finish as the score was 119 to 109 so that they could win one game before they got gentlemen swept. Uh, the Mavericks won the first quarter 28 to 24, the second quarter 34 to 23, the third quarter 37 to 23, and then the Warriors almost came back and as they won the fourth quarter 39 to 20. But we know the Warriors, they have said it before, they take a game off if they're up 3-0 to just like coast because they know as soon as they get back to the Chase Center, they're going to close out. And as we all know, and as the game illustrates, the Dallas Mavericks, Luka Doncic had 30 points, 14 rebounds, and 9 assists, shooting 10 of 26 from the field and 3 of 11 from three. Jalen Brunson had 15 points, shooting 5 of 12 from the field and 1 of 2 from three. Dorian Finney-Smith had 23 points, shooting 9 of 13 from the field and 4 of 7 from three to go along with and had 6 rebounds as well. And Reggie Bullock had 18 points, shooting 6 of 10 from the field, in which all 6 of his made shots and all 10 of his attempts were threes. And that's pretty much it for the Mavericks in terms of who did what. As I said, it was a blowout from start to finish. So, I mean, there's not really much to talk about on this front. As for the Warriors, Steph Curry shot 7 of 16 from the field and shot 2 of 5 from three and had 20 points and 8 assists and 5 rebounds. Andrew Wiggins shot 5 of 11 from the field and 1 of 3 from three and had 13 points. Draymond Green had 10 points on 4 of 8 shooting. And Jordan Poole had 14 points on 5 of 10 shooting and 2 of 5 from three. And Jonathan Kuminga had 17 points on 5 of 11 shooting, and 1 of 3 from three in 21 minutes. And Moses Moody shot 4 of 7 from the field and 2 of 3 from three and had 10 points. It was good. While the Warriors did get blown out in this game from start to finish, it was good to see the young guys like Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody get minutes. Maybe it was garbage time minutes since it was a blowout, but it's always good to see the young players on whatever team get minutes because you never know when they're going to be useful down the stretch. And as we've seen in later in this series, throughout the playoffs, Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga have played very significant minutes when it comes down to the matchups the Warriors are, and comes down to the teams of who the Warriors are playing against. As we saw in the Denver series, Jonathan Kuminga played a lot of like spot minutes, sort of 10 to 15 minute rotations throughout that series. And he basically was just playing defense. He wasn't mainly known for his scoring ability, but they needed him on the defensive end, considering sometimes Draymond Green had a lot of foul trouble. So, I mean, to see the rookies get some valuable minutes when in all honesty, they were probably in the discussion of trade talks going back to last season and the off season before they got drafted and what the Warriors should have done with those picks. It's really good to see those two players getting playoff minutes and being put on the big stage because, I mean, it's just preparation for probably what their careers are going to be like when the Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green era is over and you move into probably the Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody era, along with James Wiseman, let me not forget. For the splits for this game, the Warriors shot 49%, I'm rounding up, 49% from the field and 36% from three, while the Mavericks shot 50% from the field and 46% from three. So obviously a very sort of even game, but I mean, as I said, it was pretty much garbage minutes in the late third quarter, early fourth quarter. So I mean, the score looks close, but the game was a blowout. As for game 5, which was the closeout game, the Warriors won 120 to 110. The quarter breakdown, Golden State won the first quarter 28 to 23. Then they won the second quarter 41 to 29. Then the Mavericks won the third quarter 32 to 25 to kind of make the game somewhat close. And then it was a tie between the Warriors and the Mavericks for quarter number 4 at 26 points. This game was kind of over, I want to say, by like the late second, early third quarter, before the Mavericks kind of made a comeback in the late third quarter, early fourth quarter. I mean, from what I'm looking at, the Warriors' biggest lead was 25. The Mavericks didn't have a lead in this game at all. But as I said, the Warriors, as they have said in previous seasons, they sometimes like to coast and get ahead of themselves, and then they end up blowing a lead, like we saw in game 5, where the Mavericks kind of brought it down. I think they might have even tied it, but I think they got it down to like in between 2 and 4 points. But this was, let's say, game 5 Clay. He moved up a game and it didn't wait till game 6, as he had, I think, 30, I want to say 32, but let me go to the box score. Klay Thompson, yes, I was right. 32 points on 12 of 25 shooting and 8 of 16 from three. So Klay Thompson of old was back, hitting a majority, or I should say half of his threes. Andrew Wiggins had 18 points, shooting 7 of 16 from the field and 0 of 7 from three. And he also had 10 rebounds. Steph Curry had 15 points on 5 of 17 shooting. So it was a quiet night for Steph. But I mean, when Klay is hitting his shots, I mean, you get that man the ball. And Steph also shot 2 of 7 from three. And he also had 9 assists. Jordan Poole shot 6 of 8 from the field and 1 of 3 from the 3-point line, and had 16 points to go along with six rebounds and 6 assists. And am I missing anyone? Oh, and Draymond Green had 17 points on 6 of 7 shooting from the field and made his only 3. And he had 6 rebounds to go along with 9 assists. And as for the Mavericks, Luka Doncic had 28 points to go, and he shot 10 of 28 from the field and 3 of 13 from three. And he also had 9 rebounds and 6 assists. Dorian Finney-Smith had 13 points on 6 of 10 shooting from the field and 1 of 4 from three. And he also had 4 rebounds. Jalen Brunson had a cold night, shooting 3 of 10 from the field and 0 of 2 from three. And he had 10 points and 4 assists. And am I missing anyone? Oh, and Spencer Dinwiddie with another great performance, shooting 7 of 12 from the field and 5 of 7 from three, as he had 26 points and 4 assists. And as I said, this was the closeout game. The Mavericks shot 45% from the field and 40% from three, while the Warriors shot 51% from the field and 39% from three. If you see me looking to my right on the screen and your left, it would be, I'm looking at my tablet at the box scores, because I didn't do a write down since all of these games were primarily blowouts. As for the Mavericks, as we're going to get it, me and Carlos are going to get into the offseason talk when this season is over. But as for the Mavericks, they're officially here. Luka Doncic is here to stay, as he's been doing for the last 2 years against my team, the Clippers. But they're going to have a lot of offseason things to go through. Obviously, they're probably going to pay Jalen Brunson unless they're really heavily linked to the Zach LaVine rumors. But I don't know if Mark Cuban is really worth that. But in all honesty, you have to get Luka Doncic a second star. I mean, yes, you made it to the finals yes, you made it to the Western Conference Finals this season, but I mean, are the Phoenix Suns probably going to have another blunder like they did in Game 7? Probably not. That was like a once in a lifetime sort of experience. And they beat the Utah Jazz in the first round, and we know what Utah is probably going to do this offseason. There's no way they bring that same team back. But I mean, in all honesty, it was a great season for the Dallas Mavericks. Luka Doncic played well throughout the playoffs. He had some bad shooting games, but in all honesty, he has to kind of be on his quote unquote James Harden role, kind of scoring the ball at a high usage rate of probably 30 plus points per game, and having to get at least 8 rebounds and at least 9 assists a game, because he's the main facilitator outside of Jalen Brunson. And as for the rest of their team, I mean, they do have a lot of expiring contracts for next season, so we'll see what happens. As for the Warriors, a 2 year, yes, you can call it retool. I mean, a lot of people say rebuild because they got rid of Kevin Durant, but when you get rid of a star player and you still have other star players like Steph Curry, I mean, Draymond Green is still a star because he does everything that probably doesn't relate to the box score, but I mean, he does get rebounds, assists. He's the main defensive anchor for the Warriors. And yes, while Klay Thompson was rehabbing with his injuries, I would call it a retool. Yes, they got D'Angelo Russell in the KD trade, and they turned that into Andrew Wiggins before the trade deadline last season. So, and yes, they didn't make the playoffs because they lost to the Grizzlies in the play-in game, which in all honesty was a great game last season. And I wasn't mad that they didn't make it, but a 2 year retool where they got everyone back. They made some key offseason acquisitions with Otto Porter and Nemanja Bjelica coming in. Two guys that can shoot the ball, that can spread the floor, shoot the ball, and can play in this type of system. And then obviously you got your main guys, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, who came back in the middle of the season, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins, Kevon Looney, and then you obviously Jordan Poole blossomed into, let's say, the third Splash brother that is here to stay and probably take over once Steph Curry and the guys run is at their end, I want to say. And I mean, for the Warriors, I mean, this is what, the sixth time you've been to the finals in 8 years. I mean, let's just be honest. This is a dynasty. Yes, they only have three championships to show for it. Three championships to show for it. But I mean, going to the finals 6 times in a matter of 8 years is something only a handful of teams have done, and pretty much every team dreams of doing. And I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they match up against the Boston Celtics. I will get into the finals talk later, but we will move on to the Eastern Conference Finals, as that series went fully 7. As I said, I predicted the war. Well, let me say that too. I predicted the Warriors in 6. They won in 5. So I got that prediction right. And as for the Boston Celtics Miami Heat series, I predicted the Celtics in 6. They obviously won in 7. So, I mean, I got my predictions right for at least once in my life. But anyways, we'll move on to Boston Miami. In game 3, Miami won 109-103. I mean, this game was a blowout from start to, I shouldn't say from start to finish, because Miami kind of just let up sort of in the late third, early throughout the fourth quarter to make it sort of close, for Boston to make it close. But in all honesty, Miami kind of dominated this series. I shouldn't say this series, this game. From the quarter breakdown, Miami won the first quarter 39-18. Then Boston won the second quarter 29-23. Then they split the third quarter at 25 points, and Boston won the fourth quarter 31-22. Miami's biggest lead was 26 points, but the biggest, I'd say, I'd say the biggest niche. Let me go with that, since for lack of a better word. The biggest niche I had with this game was Boston turning the ball over 23 times compared to Miami's 8. Boston was in this game. Boston might have won this game. Let me not say they might have not been in this game. They would have won this game had it not been for all of the turnovers they committed and unforced turnovers. Let me say that as well. They committed. I mean, in all honesty, from looking at the box score, we'll start with Boston. Jason Tatum was cold throughout this game, shooting 3 of 14 from the field and 1 of 7 from 3. And he had 6 rebounds, but he also turned the ball over 6 times. Jaylen Brown had a 40-point game, shooting 14 of 20 from the field and 3 of 9 from 3. And he had 9 rebounds, but he committed 7 turnovers. So, I mean, between your two, I want to say, I guess you could say primary ball handlers outside of Marcus Smart, they combined for 13 of your 23 turnovers, which in all honesty is not going to win you a game. It was it was good enough that they were able to make it a close game. And at that, even with Jason Tatum struggling. To keep it moving, Al Horford had 20 points and 14 rebounds, shooting 7 of 14 from the field and 3 of 5 from 3. And Marcus Smart had 16 points on 6 of 11 shooting and 1 of 4 from 3. And he also had 7 assists to go along with his 16 points. I honestly can't remember if this was the game Marcus Smart kind of turned his ankle and came back to it, which was arguably the biggest roar of a crowd I have seen in a while. Or I have seen and heard in a while, but I digress. If it wasn't, it had to be game 4. Let me just say that. As for the Miami Heat, this was the Bam Adebayo game, as he had 31 points and 10 rebounds and 6 assists, shooting 15 of 22 from the field. PJ Tucker had 17 points and 7 rebounds, shooting 5 of 10 from the field and 3 of 6 from 3. As Jimmy Butler, I mean, I guess you can say he struggled, but he didn't really shoot the ball all that much, as I think he was dealing with knee pain. His knee pain, as he had 8 points, as he shot 3 of 8 from the field, and he didn't take any threes. And Max Strus, let me not forget. Max Strus had 16 points and 4 rebounds, shooting 6 of 12 from the field and 4 of 7 from 3. And as for the breakdown for the splits, the Miami Heat shot 47% from the field and 33% from 3. And the Boston Celtics shot 49% from the field and 37% from 3. As I said, the biggest reason why I think the Boston Celtics lost this game was due to turnovers and Jason Tatum not having his best game. But I mean, when you turn the ball over 23 times, you're probably not going to win the game, let alone be in the game at the end of the fourth quarter or towards the end of the fourth quarter. But I mean, the fact that Boston only lost by 6 goes to show you the fortitude that the Celtics had throughout the season. And I mean, Miami kind of just going cold in the late third, late third, and throughout the fourth quarter. And as the Celtics made it close, but we'll move on to game 4, as the Celtics won 102 to 82. Tatum had a great game. I remember he had like 24, 26 points heading into halftime. And for the quarter breakdown, I forget. This was the game. Wait, was this? Yeah, this was the game where Miami only had 11 points through the first quarter, and I don't even think they hit their first field goal until like the 4 or 5 minute mark of the first quarter. For the quarter breakdown, Boston won the first quarter 29 to 11. They won the second quarter 28 to 22. Both teams split the third quarter at 19 points, and Miami won the fourth quarter 30 to 26. Boston's biggest lead was 32 points. And I mean, in terms of the turnover battle, I mean, it was pretty even. But as I said, Miami just did not shoot the ball well. Well, let me go into the box score. I will bring up the first quarter box score and then we'll move on to, or no, let me rephrase that. I'll talk about the box score as a whole and then I'll move into the first quarter box score. For the Boston Celtics, Tatum had 31 and 8 rebounds as he shot 8 of 16 from the field and 1 of 7 from three. Jaylen Brown had 12 points as he shot as he struggled from the field, shooting 5 of 20 from the field and 1 of 6 from three. Robert Williams had 12 points and 9 rebounds, shooting 4 of 5 from the field. And Derek White had 13 points, shooting 4 of 14 from the field and 1 of 8 from three. And Peyton Pritchard had 14 points and 2 rebounds and 3 assists, shooting 5 of 8 from the field and 3 of 6 from three. As I said, this was basically the Jason Tatum game where he basically shot the ball well, didn't have that many turnovers, and Miami just shot poorly. As for the Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler struggled this game, only having 6 points, shooting 3 of 14 from the field and went 0 of 2 from three to go and had 7 rebounds. PJ Tucker shot 0 of 4 from the field and had 0 points. Bam Adebayo was quiet, only having 9 points, shooting 3 of 5 from the field and he had 6 rebounds. Kyle Lowry only had 3 points, shooting 1 of 6 from the field and 1 of 3 from three. Max Strus had 0 points, shooting 0 of 7 from the field and 0 of 4 from three. And Victor Oladipo had a great game, shooting 7 of 16 from the field and 4 of 7 from three, and had 23 points and 6 assists. And Gabe Vincent shot the ball all poorly, shooting 2 of 10 from the field and 2 of 5 from three, as he only had 6 points. And Duncan Robinson got 23 minutes off the bench as he shot 5 of 11 from the field and 4 of 8 from three, as he had 14 points. And as I said, and I'll just do the shooting splits now, the Miami Heat shot 33% from 33% from the field and 39% from three, as they shot 14 of 36. And the Boston Celtics shot 40% from the field and 23% from three. But as I said, and let me do the first quarter box score. The Miami Heat shot 3 of 20 from the field in the first quarter, while the Boston Celtics shot 9 of 22. So while it wasn't that big of while both teams shot sort of, I wouldn't say poorly. I mean, the Boston Celtics shot sort of league average from the field for a quarter probably. But Miami, as I said, they didn't get their first basket until like the 5-minute mark. And literally when every fan was watching that game and noticed the end of the quarter score, I mean, we all knew this game was over. Miami just didn't come to play. They shot the ball poorly. Max Strus wasn't as prolific as he had been throughout the playoffs. And this was to lead into game 5. These were the 2 games, I should say, where Strus sort of was missing literally all of his shots. I mean, Lowry struggled from the field too. I mean, just looking at their box score, Victor Oladipo led the scoring with 6 points in 5 minutes. Jimmy Butler had 4 points in as he played all 12 of the first quarter, all 12 minutes of the first quarter. But I mean, if you look at the box score, it's literally Jimmy Butler with 4, Victor Oladipo with 6, and Bam Adebayo with 1 point off of a free throw. And just the rest of this team just has a bunch of zeros. And as I said, the game was pretty much over from the first quarter. Whenever a team has a 29-11 lead, I mean, you can assume that, and not even just 29-11, the fact that Miami missed 17 shots, and I think they missed like, I want to say 15 or 16 shots in a row. I mean, you knew this game was over from the first quarter, and you pretty much knew the game was over by halftime. As I digress, we'll move into game 5. The Celtics won game 5, 93-80. I didn't really watch this game because I was hanging out with some friends. My friend from high school, he moved to Houston while I was at Howard. So he came down to visit for 2 days. So I missed the first 2 quarters of game 5, but I was able to catch like the last 2 minutes of the third quarter and all pretty much most of the fourth quarter before it became a blowout as we were getting dinner. But the quarter breakdown is Miami won game. Miami won quarter number 1 19-17. They won quarter number 2 23-20. Boston won the third quarter 32-16, and Boston won the fourth quarter 24-22. Boston's biggest lead was 23. The turnover battle, I mean, Boston had 15 turnovers and Miami had 12, so it wasn't that big of a difference. But as I said, Miami kind of, I don't want to say let Boston get back into it as it was close, but they went cold as Boston just got hot in the third quarter. As we'll move into the box score. It is loading on my tablet. For the Celtics, Jason Tatum had 22 points, 12 rebounds, and 9 assists as he shot 7 of 20 from the field and 2 of 8 from 3. Jaylen Brown had 25 points, shooting 10 of 19 from the field and 5 of 9 from 3. Robert Williams had 6 points on 2 of 2 from the field and 10 rebounds. But I think this was a game where he sort of, I guess you can't say he stifled Bam Adebayo, but he was a force in the paint. Al Horford had 16 points, shooting 5 of 8 from the field and 1 of 3 from 3. And Derek White had 14 points, shooting 6 of 8 from the field and 0 of 2 from 3. And moving to the Heat side, Jimmy Butler had another game where he struggled, shooting 4 of 18 from 3, 4 of 18 from the field, and 1 of 5 from 3, having 13 points. PJ Tucker had 7 points, shooting 3 of 7 from the field. Bam Adebayo had 18 points, shooting 8 of 15 from the field. Max Strus had another 0 for shooting 0 of 9 from the field and 0 of 7 from 3, but he made 4 of his free throws, so giving him 4 points. Gabe Vincent shot 6 of 12 from the field and 1 of 7 from 3 as he had 15 points. And Kyle Lowry had an 0 for as he shot 0 of 6 from the field and 0 of 5 from 3 as he had 0 points. And I think this was, the first time a starting backcourt, in which Lowry and Strus literally had no made field goals. As I said, they shot 0 of 15 from the field. I think this was, if I can remember, the first time, I think in like, I want to say 30 years or something like that. I know I don't have the facts straight on me because I'm doing this off of just the rip. But Lowry and Strus having 0 basically made field goals was not going to put the Heat in a position to win, especially when your best player, Jimmy Butler, was struggling all night. And as I said, I didn't catch most of this game. I caught the back half of the third quarter and the fourth quarter. And I just remember, Brown and Tatum got hot. If I can look at the third quarter box score as it is loading. Jason Tatum had 9 points on 3 of 4 from the field. And Jaylen Brown had 6 points on 3 of 6 from the field. But Miami, as I said, they went cold. Jimmy Butler was 1 of 4 from the field as he had 2 points. Kyle Lowry was 0 of 3 from the field and had 0 points. Max Strus made his 4 free throws in the third quarter, but he was 0 of 4 from the field and 0 of 4 from 3. Victor Oladipo was 0 of 3 from the field and he had 1 point. Gabe Vincent was 2 of 3 from the field and had 6 points. But you see at least 5 O's in the score in the box score for the third quarter, and the Heat shot 4 of 24. So similar to that first quarter in game 4, they had a shooting percentage of 16%, and they were 1 of 14 from the three, while the Celtics in quarter number 3 were 11 of 18 from the field, shooting 61%, and they were 2 of 6 from three, shooting 33%. As I said, the third quarter made all the difference. The Heat just went cold, while the Celtics basically were shooting the lights out of the ball. And we'll move into game 6, as this was the Jimmy Butler 40-point game where he willed the Miami Heat to victories to send the series to a game 7. For the quarter breakdown, Miami won the first quarter 29-22. Boston won the second quarter 24-19. Miami won the third quarter 34-29. And Miami won the fourth quarter 29-28, as the Heat won 111-103. The turnover battle was even. Both teams committed 17 turnovers. Boston, I mean, this was a back and forth game. Miami, there were 8 lead changes and 7 ties, which goes to show you that this game was back and forth. We'll get into the box score. As I said, Jimmy Butler had 47 points. I think he shot like 15 of 20. Okay, yeah, I have it right here. 16. He had 47 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists, shooting 16 of 29 from the field and 4 of 8 from the three, which obviously is 50%. And I mean, if Jimmy Butler is making 50% of his 3-pointers, in which he shoots at least, let's say, 6 to 8 threes a game, I mean, in that case, he is just hitting his shots because he is like a career, I want to say like 28% 3-point shooter. So I mean, he's literally below league average for his career. But I mean, if he's hitting 50% of his threes on 8 attempts, I mean, you just got to give your hat to him. Moving on, Kyle Lowry had 18 points and 10 assists, shooting 5 of 14 from the field and 4 of 9 from three. Max Strus had 13 points, shooting 5 of 12 from the field and 3 of 8 from three, but he had some big threes down the stretch of this game. To sort of get out of his slump. Bam Adebayo had 6 points on 3 of 6 from the field, and PJ Tucker had 11 points on 3 of 4 from the field and 2 of 2 from three. And moving on to the Celtics, Jason Tatum had 30 points and 9 rebounds and 4 assists, shooting 9 of 12 from the field and 4 of 7 from three. Jaylen Brown had 20 points, shooting 6 of 13 from the field and 1 of 3 from three, and 6 rebounds and 5 assists. Robert Williams had 12 points on 5 of 7 from the field. And Derek White had a great game, shooting 7 of 14 from the field and 4 of 7 from three, as he had 22 points. But Marcus Smart shot the ball terribly, shooting 4 for 15 from the field and 1 of 9 from three, as he had 14 points. But I mean, just for this game, I mean, Jimmy Butler having 47 points. I think in one of these quarters, he had a 20-point quarter, I want to say. One of them. I'm looking for it now. No, it's not this one. Was it first quarter? Okay, the first quarter, Jimmy Butler had 14 points, shooting 6 of 10 from the field. So, I mean, he basically had half of Miami's points in the first quarter. And then I think no, maybe not. Maybe it was just the first quarter. He had a big scoring outburst, but oh no, okay, it was the fourth quarter. Okay, in the fourth quarter, Jimmy Butler had 17 points, shooting 6 of 9 from the field. As I said, he was just hot throughout the game. I mean, yes, he shot the ball at 50%, which is still very good, but I mean, he was taking over late in that fourth quarter, basically willing Miami to victory. And I think in this game, he played like 46. He played 46 minutes. I'm loading it. Yeah, 45 and 57 seconds, but I mean, just rounded up to 46. So, I mean, he basically played the entire game. And I mean, he considers himself a star player. I mean, I'd say he is at least a top 15, top 20 player in the league. But I mean, in this game, he showed that he's on the sort of echelon of being in that top 10 category. I mean, in a closeout game for the Boston Celtics, when you have a 47-point outburst, shooting 50% from the 55% from the field and 50% from three, and you also go to the free throw line 11 times and make all 11 of your free throws. I mean, it's just a dominant performance to basically just will your team to game 7 at home. And as for the shooting splits, Miami shot 46% from the field and 42% from three, while Boston shot 44% from the field and 33% from three. I mean, this was pretty much, as I said, an even game. I mean, it's just Jimmy Butler took over in that took over in the fourth quarter, and Max Strus and Kyle Lowry had some big buckets down the stretch. But we'll move into we'll move into the best two words in sports, game 7, where Boston won 100 to 96 to become the Eastern Conference Finals champions and go to their, I want to say, I know this was like the 35th time they've been in the Eastern Conference Finals. So, I mean, I want to say it's got to be at least at least most likely 20th time. I'm going to look it up right now. Give me a second. But in the meantime, I will do the quarter breakdowns. Boston won the first quarter 32 to 17. Miami came back in the second quarter, winning the quarter 32 to 23. Boston won the third quarter 27 to 26. Oh my gosh, that voice crack. And Miami won the fourth quarter 21 to 18. And I'm going to just talk about the fourth quarter now, at least the last 2 minutes. Miami had an 11-0 run in the last, I want to say, 3 minutes of that quarter to make it super close. I remember I was in the car with 2 of my friends as we were going to play basketball. And before we left, I remember saying like the game was pretty much over because it was like 11 points. And then like all of a sudden I checked back on my phone and it was like, oh yeah, Miami's down like 98 to 96. And I'm like, wait, what? And I mean, that the biggest thing with Boston is they do blow leads, especially when it's in clutch situations. And I mean, as I said in this series, except for game 6 and basically game 7, every game was pretty much a blowout. So I mean, if I am a Celtics fan or if I am rooting for the Celtics, I would be very hesitant about about what like how nervous I would be when it comes to crunch time minutes. I mean, because I mean, at times the Celtics do go a little ISO heavy, which I mean, they do have 2 ISO scorers in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. But I mean, you don't want to rely on heavy isolation scoring. You do want to have a little bit of movement and motion and passing the ball and getting ball movement so that you can get the best open shot. Not saying that isolation scoring isn't bad. I mean, some of the best teams that have won championships have had to go to ISO scoring in the past. So, I mean, ISO scoring isn't the worst, but you still do want to have a little bit of ball movement. Moving on, I mean, Boston's biggest lead in this game was 17 points. The Miami Heat never led in this game. But we'll move on to the box score, as I do want to talk about, for the Boston Celtics at least, Jason Tatum having 26 points, 10 rebounds and 6 assists, shooting 9 of 21 from the field and 4 of 7 from three. Jaylen Brown had 24 points, shooting 8 of 15 from the field and 1 of 5 from three, as he had 6 assists and 6 rebounds. Marcus Smart had 24 points, 9 rebounds and 5 assists, shooting 8 of 22 from the field and 3 of 10 from three. So while I mean, you're sort of quote unquote big three, as some people call them, they did score the ball at a high rate. And while they didn't have the best shooting percentages, they did score and facilitate, as they combined for 6, 12, 17 assists, 17 of Boston's 22 assists. So, I mean, that is one thing, as I said, I wanted to talk about your star players and Tatum and Brown facilitating and getting guys open. I remember there was a play, I think, in the second quarter where Marcus Smart kind of set a slip screen for Jason Tatum, and he basically rolled down to the middle. Jason Tatum found him at the free throw line, and Marcus Smart had an easy floater as Bam Adebayo, and I think it was Max Strus, or not, my bad. Al Horford and I want to say Derek White were in the corner being guarded by Bam Adebayo and Max Strus, but they were too late to help on the rotation. So Marcus Smart had an easy floater. But I mean, there were numerous plays where Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum made the right basketball play and found the open guy for an easier and better shot, which shows the progression in which both have made in terms of getting their guys open for easier shots. Yes, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they do take tough shots at times, but the next level of progression for them is finding the open guy and making the right pass for a better shot. Let me say Grant Williams had 11 points, shooting 5 of 8 from the field, as he missed his only 3. And we'll move to the Heat. Jimmy Butler had 35 points, shooting 13 of 24 from the field and 1 of 4 from 3, as he had 9 rebounds to go along with his 35 points. And let me just give props to Jimmy Butler off the rip. He played the entire game after playing 46 minutes in game 6. I mean, I know his body was tired after that game 6 performance. So to go out and play all 48 minutes of a closeout of a winner take all game 7, I mean, that's props. And I mean, he played well too. I can't even fault him. I'll talk about the last second shot that he took, but I mean, we'll keep it going. Bam Adebayo had 25 points and 11 rebounds, shooting 12 of 21 from the field, and he also played 46 minutes in a winner-take-all game. So, got to give him props too. I mean, there's things I think he needs to work on, as he probably already knows. But we'll continue on. Max Strus had a game where he struggled, shooting 3 of 10 from the field and 2 of 7 from 3, as he had 8 points. Kyle Lowry sort of struggled in this game, as he had 15 points and 7 rebounds, shooting 4 of 12 from the field and 1 of 6 from 3. Victor Oladipo had a game where he struggled, shooting 4 of 12 from the field and 1 of 7 from 3 to have 9 points. And I forgot to mention this, at least in game 5 and game 6, but Tyler Herro didn't play as he had a groin injury. He ended up playing game 7, but he only played, we'll round up to 7 minutes. He played 6 minutes and 43 seconds but he had 0 points on 2 shot attempts from the field. And I mean, I think for the most part, his groin injury was lingering. He tried to give it a go, similar to how Anthony Davis did last season versus the Suns, where he had that groin injury, tried to play on it and ended up re-injuring it. And I mean, I've had groin injuries in the past. In the past playing soccer, and I think I had one playing basketball, but primarily soccer. It's not something like you can just play on after you've injured it. It literally takes like a few weeks, if not a month, to heal, depending on how bad the injury is. So, I mean, I give Tyler Herro props to playing on it, but I mean, it wasn't going. If he would have played on it more, he probably would have risked injuring and maybe even tearing it. Well, I shouldn't say tearing it, but injuring it and re-aggravating it even more. But we'll move on to the shooting splits for each team. 42%. The Miami Heat shot 42% from the field and 20% from the 3, as they shot 6 of 30 from 3. And the Boston Celtics shot 41% from the field and 36% from 3, as they made 11 of their 32 attempts from 3. And as I said, we'll talk on the fourth quarter, the last 3 minutes of the fourth quarter, because as my inspiration, Kenny Beecham, KOT4Q, said in his recap for Game 7, the last 3 minutes made all the blowouts throughout this series worth it. As I said, I was in the car with my friends as the Boston Celtics, I think, were up like 98-87 with like 3 minutes left. And then like I checked, I said the game was pretty much over. And so we were just listening to music and trying to catch up because one of my friends we hadn't seen in like a year. And I remember looking back at my phone to check the score, and it was like 40 seconds left, and it was 98-96. And I caught the last 40 seconds of the game. And I will give my thoughts on the Jimmy Butler shot. I feel like Jimmy Butler, and as he said it, he was going for the kill. A 3-pointer basically would win you the game if you get the defensive stop on the last possession for Boston. So while the 3-point attempt was in his mind the right decision, and I understand it considering he played all 48 minutes, I would not want to try to go to the free throw line. I would not try to drive to the lane and try to get the and one if possible. But if you make the basket and then you get the defensive stop to go to OT, that's another 5 minutes where your body is probably tired and already on the verge of breaking down. And after a grueling 6 games, I would not want to play another 5 minutes after playing all 48. So in this instance, I feel like going for the 3 was the right move because as I said, he played all 48 minutes. He probably did not want to play another 5 minutes of overtime. As I said, his body was already probably breaking down after that game 6 performance. Playing another 5 minutes after playing the entire game is not something you would want to do. So in the right in the echelon of going for the win, I said it was the right basketball move. But if we're looking at it from just a pure basketball standpoint, I know my dad would have said that he should have taken it to the rim, considering Al Horford was was going out to defend him and the paint was wide open. But I mean, in a game 7, winner take all, going to the NBA finals for at least the second time in his career, you go for the win in that situation. As I said, the Miami Heat went on I want to say an 11-0 run. I'm going to bring up the play-by-play right now. Excuse me. Let me go fourth quarter. There we go. Let me go latest first. Okay, I don't know if my tablet has froze. Okay, there we go. So in the last 3 minutes of the game, Boston went up after two of Marcus Smart's free throws, 98-85. Lowry hit a jump shot to make the score 98-87. Then Max Strus had a putback dunk to make it 98-89. Then Boston had a few misses and Miami had a few misses. Then Boston had a turnover. Then Oladipo had a layup to make the score 98-91. Marcus Smart missed the 3 with 106 on the game clock. Then Kyle Lowry hit a layup to make the score 98-93 with a minute left. They had an instant replay after a Boston Celtics timeout. Jaylen Brown had an offensive foul. I think this was the foul where I want to say Kyle Lowry or someone took a charge. Then Max Strus hit a 3-point. He had a fadeaway 3-pointer that went in to make the score 98-96 with 50 seconds left. Then Marcus Smart missed his layup with 21 seconds left. Jimmy Butler got the rebound with 18 seconds. And then he had the pull-up 3 with 16 seconds. And that basically was the game right there. But as I said, like Boston literally had a 11-point lead with 3 minutes left, and they literally had, let me see, they literally had a missed jump shot, a missed three-pointer, after an offensive rebound, a turnover, a missed 3-point shot, an offensive foul, a missed layup, and then that was basically the game in about a 2 minute and 40, I want to say 2 minute and 43 second span. They had 6 missed jump shots and 2 turnovers. So, I mean, in the clutch, Boston, I mean, they almost sold it, but props to them. They deserve to make the finals after the run, after all the teams they've played. As I said, it was, as I've said prior, this was the revenge tour. They lost to Miami in the bubble in the Eastern Conference Finals. Then they lost to Milwaukee in the, what was that? Was that the semifinals of last year? Yeah, they lost to Milwaukee in the semifinals of last year, or I think it was the Nets of last year, whatever series it was. I think it was the Nets of last year. And then they lost to Milwaukee in 2019, I think, or 2019, whatever year it was. I can't remember off the top of my head. But props to them. Jason Tatum. Well, I mean, all of those guys are going to their first finals. I remember seeing a stat where, and we'll just get into NBA finals talk right now. I think I forgot to mention the Boston Celtics are going to their 21st NBA finals, as they have 17 championships. So 17 of 21 is probably the best finals record ever. But I will move on to the NBA finals talk. My prediction is that the Warriors will win in 6, and Steph Curry will be finals MVP. I think his averages will be like 27 points per game. He'll probably have like 7 assists and 5 rebounds off the rip. If anything else, I feel like Andrew Wiggins, if I had to make a second case for finals MVP, I feel like it would be Andrew Wiggins, because he's probably going to be the main defender on either Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. And I feel like he will average probably 20 points, probably 8 rebounds and 4 assists. But I mean, I feel like Steph Curry he's earned and probably will deserve the finals MVP if the Warriors win it. As for Carlos's prediction, he said he has the Celtics in 7. I'm pretty sure if he had to make a finals MVP prediction, he would say that Jason Tatum is probably first and Jaylen Brown is probably second. But moving on, I feel like the keys for the Warriors, obviously, you're gonna need great performances from Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins. Hopefully, you can get some production from Kevon Looney, similar to what he did in the first 2 games in the Western Conference Finals versus the Mavericks. Jordan Poole was going to have to be on the echelon of what he has produced in the first, I'd say, 2 series. I mean, he sort of I wouldn't say struggled in the Maverick series, but he has to at least be a 17 to 18 point per game scorer. Yes, he should have those nights where he has a 20 plus point per game, 20 plus point game, especially if Klay Thompson struggles. But I feel like offensively, the Warriors, I mean, it's pass and move, get the best open shot, whether it's a 3 or a look down low in the paint. In the paint, I mean, it's Warriors basketball, probably arguably one of the greatest offenses we've ever seen. As for them defensively, Draymond Green is going to have to be the anchor. I'm looking forward to seeing what lineups Ime Udoka puts out, because I don't think the Boston Celtics can play a 2 center type of lineup where Robert Williams and Al Horford are on the court at the same time. I mean, I know Draymond isn't like a 3-point threat, but I don't see Al Horford and Robert Williams trying to be on the floor at the same time with a Kevon Looney and Draymond Green type of lineup. Because one thing I did notice with the Celtics and Robert Williams is he falls for a lot of pump fakes. So, I mean, yes, while the scouting report is to possibly leave out of everyone on the court, Draymond Green open. Obviously, Kevin Looney is not going to shoot a three. So, out of everyone else, Draymond Green is going to be the open one. If Robert Williams is the closeout defender on Draymond, Draymond probably will just pump fake and drive to the rim for an easy layup or dunk. As for the Celtics, I mean, it's pretty much simple. Play great basketball. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are going to be the main two scorers. You're going to need that scoring push and facilitation from Marcus Smart. And I mean, if you can get games from Grant Williams, I know he struggled in the Heat series. If you can get a few games from Grant Williams or a Derek White, even a Peyton Pritchard, I mean, you can get them at least to score 12 to 15 points alongside of Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum's at least 20 plus points. Maybe you get Al Horford with a 15-point game or a 20-point game similar to what he did in the Bucks series. I mean, Boston does have a chance. I feel like the Warriors are going to win this series, but I mean, I would not be surprised if the young Bucks of the Celtics come out and win the NBA Finals to give Boston their 18th banner and put them ahead of the Lakers. I know pretty much all Laker fans are, for the lesser of two evils, they are going to root for the Warriors. I would be really remiss and shocked if there were any Laker fans that are rooting for the Celtics. I know my friend who is a Lakers fan is rooting for the Warriors. And I feel like offensively for the Boston Celtics, there's no doubt in my mind that they should win the offensive rebound battle. They have the bigger size. I shouldn't say that. The Warriors have a lack of size down low. I mean, Draymond Green is only like 6'6", and Kevon Looney is 6'9", compared to Robert Williams, who's 6'11", Al Horford, who's 6'11". Al Horford might be 6'10", or he's 6'11". I mean, Daniel Theis is 6'9", I think. So, I mean, yes, the Warriors do have a lack of size, but I mean, and they have been out rebounded by teams in the past. But I mean, if the Boston Celtics can get those offensive rebound opportunities and capitalize on those capitalize on those opportunities, there's no doubt in my mind that they will be in the game with the Warriors, especially if the Warriors are hitting their shots. Defensively, I mean, I would say two lockdown defenders in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I would assume Jaylen Brown is probably going to get the Steph Curry assignment, if not Klay Thompson. If he isn't on Steph Curry, he's probably going to be on Klay Thompson. And Jason Tatum is going to get the Andrew Wiggins assignment. Not surprised by that. I mean, I'd be interested to see if Marcus Smart is put on Steph Curry or if he's put on Klay Thompson. My guess is that the lineups will probably be for the Warriors: Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Wiggins, Draymond, and Kevon Looney for the Warriors. And as for the Celtics, it'll probably be Smart, Brown, Tatum. I would say Grant Williams will probably get the start, and then you would probably put out there Robert Williams, if not Robert Williams, Al Horford. But I'd say, like, overall, this is a pretty even series. Probably the only series I hoped for outside of probably Phoenix and Milwaukee again. But having Boston and Golden State in the finals is going to be a great matchup. I think this is the first time they've played each other in the finals, I think, in like 50 years, going back to the 70. Let me look. I can't remember off the top of my head. Boston, I think it was like 1972, where the Golden State Warriors and the Boston Celtics matched up, though obviously that was in the era Wilt Chamberlain and Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell and that Celtics dynasty back then. I just brought it up. The last time the Celtics and Boston squared up was the 60. Oh, well, the last and only time was the 63 and 64 season. So damn, almost 60 years ago, in which both teams were matched up in the finals. Obviously, we know how that went with Boston winning the series. I want to say 4-0, if not 4-1. But as I said, my prediction in this series is the Warriors winning in 6. Carlos says the Celtics are winning in 7. And we're going to see how that ends up turning out as the finals start on Thursday, June 2nd. I will try to do a podcast on after game 1. If I don't, Carlos and I have already talked about he's going to be back for game 2 for the game 2 series recap. So, I mean, whether that happens on Sunday after the game, because I know my friend wants us to play basketball again, but he is going to San Diego. So depending on how that turns out, we may do a 2-game recap on Sunday. But if that doesn't happen, for sure, we will record on Monday, and I will probably have it out on Spotify and all the other podcasting applications that this podcast is on Monday, if not Tuesday. And this is episode 9 of the 4 Out 1 In podcast with your host, George Hamilton III. I hope all of you NBA fans are ready for the NBA finals. And I hope whoever is a Boston Celtics and Golden State Warriors fan, I hope you have the best success, and whoever wins the finals, I mean, they'll be raising the championship banner. And this is me signing off, and good luck. Peace.